actually Philippa Boyens wrote to me because she was one of the writers of Lord of the Rings, and she approached me because she was producing it, and actually her daughter is one of the writers on it. So she emailed me to get involved in it, and I jumped at the opportunity because I just thought it was such a cool way to kind of build the universe of Middle Earth, but to actually do it in a different way this time, to do the anime version and a story from before, and then just this really unique opportunity to revisit a character 20 years on, but not have to do CGI or try to change how you look, that it was purely just a vocal exercise.
But we had one day, and it was a party of the rich Romans, and we've captured one of the runaway gladiators, and in this scene, everyone's like, ha ha, and it's all rich people, and then we come around a corner, and this guy is hanging on a hook, and the party game is we're going to cut little bits of flesh off his body, and sort of, sorry, there's children here. Anyway.
Dark real quick.
But it was so monstrous, and it was that thing of, it was the moment we all went, have we gone too far? And the feeling on set that day was just kind of, it was disgusting. We were all kind of disgusted with ourselves, but when you watch it, you go, it's brilliant, because that's who those people, that was the world that they inhabited, where it just didn't matter. People were cattle to them, so.
Did you get embarrassed at any bits that you filmed?
I'm only in it a little bit. It was a long time ago, and I wasn't very good at watching myself comfortably. I think I'm much better now, but I hated it. I remember going to see it, and everyone is great, amazing, wonderful, everyone, me, oh God! and just suddenly being, 7 years old and embarrassed, and it's the silly thing we do when we're young. We forget, we see all the things that we think are terrible, and they're not. They're when you see them later, I often look back at things I did that I was so embarrassed about in the past, and I look at them and go, oh, you were just, that was the thing that made it interesting. It was the stuff that you were sort of afraid of, and yeah, I absolutely hated watching it, but now I'm incredibly grateful for those things, so yeah. So never doubt yourself. Anyway.
I don't remember any bad bits. I just remember loving it all. It was such a joy to film it, and then to see it all put together was really magic. It just sort of took me away. It wasn't even like watching myself. It was just watching the whole magic of this world being delivered. I just don't remember anything negative about it.
When you started filming, did you realise how much of an impact it would have on the world?
Well, to me, yeah, I did. Just because when I arrived, they'd already started shooting, and they played me about 15 minutes of cut footage, a lot of Vigo, some stuff with Frodo and Ian, and I just thought it was amazing, and I just had no doubt it would have a huge impact. I don't know, I'm not always so sure about things, but I was really sure about this one.
You were right.
I was right. What about you, Craig?
Yeah, I think said earlier, I didn't realize how loved the world was, and that was kind of fascinating discovery during and also after, just seeing how much those stories are relatable and how many people find themselves in those stories, be they a hobbit or an elf or a dwarf or an evil wizard. That they are such part of people's lives and their self-identity and their often childhoods of finding a character that gave them strength and hope. So I think that's a really special part that we get to experience still from that. So I love that, the littlest person on earth can change the world. I think that's a gorgeous idea. So it's
I caught up with Elijah and Dom, and then to see Liv here, like I haven't seen Liv for nearly 20 years, I think, like since the premieres. I think I haven't seen her since then. It was so lovely to catch up with her. Now Craig, I see him all the time, so it's a bit like, oh, Craig's here again.
Oh, great.
Got to want it more than you want to do anything else. Or as one of my friends said, if you can do anything else, do it, don't do acting. But then I think it's about, you know, finding like-minded people and, you know, trying to get stuff going with them at first. There's a lot more sort of self-motivated stuff happening these days. A lot of actors who are writing their own roles, a lot of actors who also direct. I think you kind of have to be much more, what's the word? Completely gone from my brain. You have to like be across a lot of disciplines, I think, these days.
And I echo that, the idea that you have to need to do it because it's so shitty at times. Not the doing of it, everything else that goes around of wanting to do it and trying to do it and needing to do it. And unless you absolutely have to do it, go and do something else and do it as a hobby, because it will break your heart, and it will, you know, it's a terrible lover, but it's also the best place in the world. But it's also, if you think it's going to be glamorous, you're an idiot and don't, because there are moments, a little perky moments ago, but most of the time it's like, it's great fun, it's amazing, but you're cold, you're uncomfortable, you're wet, you're tired, the doing of it is not, there's nothing glamorous about the making.
Yeah, people don't talk enough about the unglamorous side of things. A lot of actors always tell me it's a lot of waiting around.
Yeah,
as well,
a lot of
right?
waiting, and also, you know, it can be a lot of like really late nights, super long days, and yeah, there's a lot of those parts. But then, you know, it can be super duper fun, especially when you're working with like a really great group of people. There are, you know, certain projects where just the chemistry that you have with the other people, you're just excited to go to work every day. My dad was actually an actor, so like I grew up a lot around the theatre and bits of film and stuff, so he definitely inspired me. An actress that I really love, but you know, is sort of more contemporary to me, is Juliette Binoche. I'd see her in anything, adore her.
Your dad is amazing. Also, it's like, he's a castle, though.
Pardon? No. Strictly Ballroom.
Strictly Ballroom.
That's probably
Yes.
the one most people know.
I love him. Yeah, I when I was a kid, I grew up in Fiji, and we went to see, I was 5 or 6, and we went to see Peter Pan at the Suva Playhouse. And Suva is the smallest, like Fiji is 500,000 people, I think, and Suva is maybe 100,000 people in the entire city. And so this is the little Suva Playhouse. And it was a production of Peter Pan. And I can't actually remember it, but I imagine this is 1975 or 76 in Suva. It would have been pretty crappy. You know, the flying would have been ropes that you could see and stuff. But the kid saw people on stage flying, and it was, I remember that moment of absolute transportation of going, this is the best place on earth. This is magic. And wanting so desperately to be there. And you know, I don't know who that actor was, but that was the person who inspired me, because it just seemed, I think it's why we all come to these things. It was seeing that world where it's just better and brighter and more interesting, and you get to play, and that was kind of my drive, I guess.
TV shows, I'm watching The Diplomat at the moment. I really enjoyed the first season, so now I'm into the second season of that, and I love all the kind of spying, intrigue kind of stuff. That's one of the many things I like, but that's what I'm currently watching.
Brandon Ralph said the same thing. We were talking about how great Carrie Russell is.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She was a Mickey Mouse Club kid. Can you believe that? That's right. She sure was. Ryan Gosling. There's a lot of them.
That year,
Wow.
the year
Yes.
of exceptional talent. Yeah. She was quoted as saying that she and Ryan were the least talented when it came to singing, dancing.
Yeah.
And I wondered how Ryan felt about that.
Okay. Especially now. Yeah, because they had Britney and Justin and Kristen.
Yeah.
They were all Disney kids. Yeah.
The bar was high.
Yeah, true. How do you compete with that? Craig, what are you up to?
The
Same?
last thing I watched was the series halfway cliffhanger of Diplomat, which is amazing if you haven't seen it.
And then I went to see Nora as well, the film that won at Cannes. That's really wonderful. Yeah. I hung out a lot with David, who played Faramir, because he was a friend from Australia already. We'd worked together before. And then Vigo and Bernard, like we spent a lot of time in that trailer hanging out. We always seemed to be on a lot of the sets together, so they were probably my best friends.
And Vigo is truly just one of the most cool human beings you will ever meet. He just, red wine cigar, sort of cool.
Just so gentle and and such an artist on every level, you know.
Well, then, like Vigo, you have to be cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be a dick with it.
Yeah, but you're boring.
Yeah.
The warm arms, Vigo! I like knitting. Nothing wrong with knitting. Knitting's a very cool thing.
The knitting community's going to come after you now, Craig.
Love knitting.
With their knitting needles.
I just wanted to know what your experience was like filming the TV series The Clearing, and how you channeled such a deranged character as cult leader Adrian.
It was a funny one to do, actually, because I arrived to it a little late because I got COVID for the second time. And so I missed like the week of rehearsals that I was meant to have. And so I was really trying to just like find it on the go. And there was definitely, I love hair and makeup and costumes. Like it's such a launching point for me to just, as soon as I can kind of change the way I look and change the way I feel in my clothes, it automatically starts to change who I'm playing. So when we did all the hair, makeup, wigs and the outfits, that got a lot for me. And then I think it was just really, there was a scene in particular one day with the girl, and we were doing this sort of interview, and it just really clicked into that spot of like, what was the psychology of this woman? Like why was she doing all this to these children?
And I think it was just a bit of a sob-festy moment, but I thought was so beautiful is Little Billy's song. It's in 3, isn't it? Return of the King? And just the way that whole sequence played was so kind of beautiful and human, or Hobbiton, or people. I remember that stays with me often, because it just was the loss that was at the core of all those films, the sort of the change and the loss, and also Billy's voice is so beautiful in it that I adored that.
I'd have to say like Frodo and Sam towards the end there, where Sam really saves Frodo. We did, during COVID, we did this thing with Josh Gad where we did like a Zoom kind of panel, and Sean at the end of it quoted some of the lines from that, and it was so, it still really moves me to think about it. It was so moving at the time, because it was really essentially what the books are about, like the strength of heart and the strength of friendship and all these idealistic things that seem to be dreadfully missing in the world today.
The two of you ever got to visit the Hobbit set ever since it got reopened to the public?
No, I have never been to Hobbiton. I've never been to Bag End, never gotten to see any of those, but I'm hoping to in the near future.
I was just back in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, and was supposed to go down on a Friday, and things happened and I couldn't make it. And in my head, I just thought it was the farm, and they had a few bits of the set, and you kind of have a wander around and there's someone selling tea or something. And I thought it would be a bit crappy. And then over the weekend, I got to meet hundreds of people who work there. It's the beautiful farm, the same farm, and they've regrown it, and it's been that for 10 years or over 10 years. So it's absolutely real now. And I think they have 2,000 or 3,000 people go through it every day. And it's kind of like a Club Med, because all the people who were working there, they're from all over the world. They're sort of young travelers who come through and quite often grew up with Lord of the Rings, end up being tour guides in this place, and they all were so lovely and they so loved their job, and I regret not going because I really thought it was going to be, here's the hole, there's the sheep, have a cup of tea, get out. But apparently it's quite wonderful, and there's little sheeps running around and butter. It's quite magic. So if anyone is out there, I heartily recommend you truly do it.
So in terms of your voices, what were you told to sound like in terms of the Middle-earth accent, and just how were you told what your voice to sound like?
I'm very sorry.
In Lord of the Rings, or
In terms of
Lord of the Rings,
accent. Yeah. How did they instruct you to have a Middle-earth accent?
well, we had a dialect coach, Andrew Jack, who's since passed away, but they invented particular sounds for the Gondorians and for the Rohan, and it must have been for the elves too.
Yeah, we basically were Welsh. The first, and I think a lot of what we shot as elves, we were all talking like long ago. We all lived in the dell, and we had a dragon, and it was all the valleys, and it truly was. It was like a proper derivative. It just sounded like Welsh to me, and so we had all shot it like this, with the lips going like that. Then the Americans heard it and went, "What the hell is that? We don't understand what those limeys are saying." So we then had to come back to this very RP sound. And the thing with RP is you don't really move your lips. So we went into the, there's a big movie theater that you do ADR in. And we had to take these scenes where we're going, "Hello, I don't know," and then turn it into something like that, like Ray Fiennes doing it. So yeah, it was quite weird, and I remember at the time going, "This is never going to work," but they made it work. So, what did you have
I think I had like an Irish R that had to be in it, and then a particular O sound or something. There were particular sounds. It was like RP, but with these couple of extra things put into it. And so when I went back to do War of the Rohirrim, I had to kind of I went back to Rasheen, who was one of the dialect coaches on it, and helped me try to get back to that.
this woman Rasheen, who was a child probably then, but she had studied, she was from Oxford, I think. She had done her PhD or something in
Yeah, you're probably right. I can't remember that exactly.
Tolkien English, and you can apparently do it as a real thing. And she would be with us. So whenever we had, she spoke Dwarvish, she spoke Elvish, she spoke everything-ish. And they'd be rolling up, and it's all on film. So you hear, and it's very expensive film, you hear this, and it's hundreds of dollars going through, thousands probably. And Rasheen would be there going, "My govan and Legolas Tranduilion, my govan and Legolas Tranduilion, my govan," and then you'd go, yep. And then as they were about to do the take, she'd just step out of shot, and you'd go, "My govan." She'd come back in, and there must be like millions of dollars worth of footage with all the actors, whenever they spoke any other language, of seeing Rasheen in their ear going, and then dropping out, and them swearing, her coming back in, and doing that hundreds of times. So she was amazing, so patient. And so lovely.
She's fantastic. I mean, it was just really emotional. Like it's hard to describe because it took a bit to get back to the voice, because I thought originally they would want me to sound like, I went back thinking like, oh, my voice is mature. They're going to be so impressed. My voice is a little deeper, more resonant. But they were like, no, we want you to get right back to the original Eowyn voice. So they were like looking for a lighter, kind of cleaner kind of sound. And unfortunately, the first time I went to record was right after the first time I'd had COVID, and I was croaky as anything. So I went back the second time, like it was probably like nearly 2 years later, and recorded it then. But it was just like, it was such a privilege to go back and revisit and sort of re-love a character that you have loved to play. And I love working in the soundstage and in the recording sound. I find it a really intimate kind of space. So sometimes when I'm on set, there's just like so many people, and you know, you're trying to maintain your concentration, but being in the booth, it's just, oh, it's beautiful. And so just doing that whole narration at the beginning was just a really special experience.
I got to do a bit of arrows, but I wasn't very good at that. Archery, it's called. That's clearly how crap I was at it. I got to do quite a bit of sort of sword fighting, which was, I've never been very good at that stuff. I've never been in a fight myself, but we worked with just some of the most wonderful, patient, kind human beings who were the stunt team. And they just would spend so much time teaching us and guiding us and building our skill level up, because there comes a moment, their job is to get you to a point, and sometimes the actor has never had a sword in their hand in their life. They have to get you to the point where one day on set, the director goes, go, action, they say, not go, with go, arrows. Yeah. Actor says, act. And then you have to, like, large men or women with swords come running at you and axes, and you have to defend yourself and fight them off, and it's terrifying. But they somehow get you to that place, and I couldn't do it today if someone came at me with an axe. I'd just run and cry. But then they're amazing, and they just take such good care of you, and I loved knowing that I could do that. I never thought that was something I would be able to do, and they got me to a place I could do it. So I loved that.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same, the sword fighting, because it was something that I've never gotten to do again. Like, I've done lots of stuff learning other languages, or I've done horse riding in a bunch of films, but getting to sword fight as a woman was so cool to get to do. And like Craig was saying, the stunt guys were so wonderful, and I look back on it, and at times I think, my gosh, why wasn't I frightened? I felt fearless with them, because I think, they just always had my back.
You did the best fighting ever. You killed the guy. I killed the guy. You can't kill me, no man can!
I did it, sound effect.
That was
We could cut that line. Yeah, we just do. Yeah.
Did you do that though? This is one thing that is I've done a bit fighty stuff since, and in rehearsal, I make, but I think a lot of us do it, make sounds that are about the intent. It's like swoosh, clang, ding, tock, bam, biff. So you make all these sounds because that's sort of the intention of the swipe. Sometimes one forgets, and then when you're doing the take, it's like swing, shoo, ding, shoo, chow, and then everyone's like, stop with the lips. You can't. And there was one scene in I was doing in Spartacus, and I come in with this cool posse of really tough kids behind me, and they're new. A lot of them have just arrived in the episode, so I've kind of only just met them, and they're all really tough and cool. And some guy is rude to me, and so I pull out my dagger and I cut his throat, and I just go, shoo. Except when we go to record it, it's walking in, and everyone's there, the extras everywhere, and all my tough guys behind, and I go, flap! And then they go, cut? And I hear behind me, and the biggest, toughest, coolest boys and girls in the world are just laughing at me. And from then on, every scene I'd be, hey, Flair boy, hey, Flair.